Hi and welcome to today's Trade Radiators video. Today we're going to show you very quickly how easy it is to actually install a column radiator onto a plasterboard wall like the one we've got behind us here. We've just made a little mock-up of a 4x2 stud wall basically, and we're going to show you how easy and how safe it is to hang these radiators onto a wall like this using various different ways of fixing, and also we'll be able to give you a look around the other side, the bit that you never see, to show you how these actually fix to a plasterboard wall. So I hope you enjoy the video and we'll see you at the end. So first things first, so you know there's no skullduggery, this is real. We're not playing tricks on you here. We've got a nice little bit of 12mm plasterboard that we're going to use to hang our little radiator on. So these are the fittings that we're looking at using. These are the two bottom fittings. They just clamp onto the bottom of the radiator like so, nice and easily, but they don't really take any weight. They actually stop it from kind of pulling out. These fittings here are the actual ones that do most of the actual holding of the radiator. So column radiators have a round column that goes through them, and what happens is these two link up together, snap together and get screwed on like that on there, and then hang on the bracket like so, and then you've got a decorative fascia that goes over the top of the bracket so the user cannot see whether there's any metal here or not. So first up we're going to use a big beast radiator like the one we've got here. This is a 4-column radiator and you can get these on the website. This one's been in my possession for a few weeks and as a sort of radiator for videos it's got a few scuffs on it. Don't worry, yours won't turn up like that. So basically the first thing we want to do is measure where our centres are, and then we can get our centres out here and I'll show you very quickly how you actually measure up to how to have one of these radiators. First things first, say we want to just put this on the centre of this piece that we've got here. Okay, so we're going to figure out where our centre is just now. And then once we've got our centre line, we can use a spirit level, make sure our bubble's in the middle, and we can just draw a faint line just up here now, which will denote our centre line for the rest of this job. We're just going to get our radiator and sight that here. So hopefully you guys have noticed that the brackets for these radiators, as we showed you a second ago, just clamp round nicely on here like so, and then the bracket sits on here just like that, okay? So basically all we want to do now is ascertain how high we want our radiator to be. So I know my brackets are going to be about here. So for this job, let's say we've got a nice little bit of skirting board. I want to put this at about 200mm above the floor. So I want my bottom of my bracket to be about here, so I'm just going to make a little note, just a mark with a little bit of pencil. Always use pencil because that can rub off. So then I can measure to the bottom of my radiator to that mark, so that's 370mm plus my 200mm, and then I've got the height of the bottom of my top brackets. Then we can measure up our centre line now, make our mark there, and then go out for our centres of the actual brackets. So let's just pop this out of the way again. And now we measure up from the floor, 570mm. Right, now what we can do is we can get our spirit level, make sure our bubble's nice in the centre and get on that line that we've just made that mark there. Very faintly, just draw a line out across here. Now we know we've got a level for the bottom of our top brackets just there and there. So all we need to do now is measure out from the centres where our top brackets go, make the mark there, make the mark there, run them down for our bottom brackets, and then we're ready to drill our holes. The centres on column radiators are really easy to find because we know our brackets sit on the centre of each one of these little lobes here. Now I like to measure mine from the first inside column. So I can measure out to here, here to here, and that measures at the moment 420mm. So all we need to do now is really easy. Just divide 420 by 2, which is 210. Give that a little mark there. Do the same the other way around. Now we know the centres for these two. And also while we're here, we'll just get our spirit level, make sure that's straight again. And we'll just score our two lines just like this. And then we'll know exactly where we want to put our bottom brackets. Now, the bottom brackets, there's no hard and fast place to put them. Obviously, the lower the better if you can, but don't tie yourself up. I'll probably measure down about 300mm, down from the bottom here, just to there like so. Get our spirit level on here yet again, make sure it's nice and level, and then we can put our nicks just here and here for our bottom brackets. So let's have a look at how we actually fix these brackets to our plasterboard wall. What I want to do is just make sure that the bottom of my bracket touches just on here, okay? Then I've got a little mark there, and what I usually do, it doesn't matter what kind of fitting, but if you're going into plasterboard, it's always a good idea just to drill a little pilot hole first. Just like so. Now we can change our drill bit for being the right size over for our plug, expand our hole, and then push our plug into the hole and then tap it home. Now we can screw in our first screw. Basically, we don't want to go all the way tightened up because the fittings on the bottom actually need to pivot onto the radiator when it comes to fitting it later on. So now all we need to do is drill and mark our holes here. Like I said a minute ago, it's always best to have a little pilot hole and just drill that through. Now the plugs that hold our top brackets on here are a lot larger because they're taking most of the weight of the actual radiator itself. So you need to upgrade your drill size to be able to nice and snugly take that new plug. As you can see here, we've got a lovely snug fit, nice and tight, that's brilliant. And then all we need to do is just tap that through with a hammer. As you can see, we've drilled some smaller holes just below those two big plugs that we've put in, and usually they are for plugs that you're going to supply yourself. Now there's a few different methods for going into plasterboard walls to actually fix. As you've seen, you've got the plug method there, but these are really good. We've got these expandable ones here that as they go through the hole, they flick open like so, and then tighten up nicely. But we've also got these types here as well, which I personally say would take a lot more weight than one of these. And what they do is as you tighten up, they actually split a T across and then pull that back onto the plasterboard. These are brilliant. They can take a lot of weight. In fact, you could probably hang this radiator on its own with these. They're really good. So I'll show you the two different methods of doing it now on each bracket, and then you can get an idea of what they look like from behind when they go in. So first on our list, we're going to use the expanding plug, just like this one here. Basically, we're going to need a slightly larger hole for it to go in. So I'm just going to make that now. The best thing I can say now is obviously this has got to go through this hole here, so you're actually going to have to whip off the screw like so and then put it through this hole, and then we'll just rebuild this like so. So we'll just get that back, fold those little arms in. We've made our hole a little bit bigger already, and as we push in here you should see from the other side, pop through like that and then open out, and now this can't pull back. So now we can actually finish off installing this top bracket. So we're just going to run this through here like that, and we're just going to screw this through here like so. So as you can see, this piece is tightened up here now, and that's got a really good grip. That's not going to go back through that wall at all. And now we're going to tighten up this little bottom piece here. You have to pull it back a little bit so it gets the purchase on there, so it can actually tighten itself up. And then you get to a point just like that. Give it a little crack, and there we go. That one's finished and ready to take the weight of our radiator. The top big screw for the other side, we're going to do in exactly the same way, just like that. But this particular type of fixing is brilliant because you can put it in two stages. You don't have to actually make the fitting up like it is already. Firstly, you use an impact driver like the one I've got here. We push it up onto this piece just here like so and start to drive. Then if you look closely, you can actually see some small threads here. They're going to be the first part of how we grip onto this. Just put that on there like so, like it's nice and tight just like that. So now we can have our bracket made up like so. We can now run our screw into our fitting, and you'll see on the other side it actually splits a T-piece and pulls it back tight onto the plasterboard. So all we need to do now is make up our brackets so they actually go onto our radiator. That's the first bit. So what we do is we mock up and put on our first bracket like so. They just clip together nicely, and then we use an Allen screw just like this one here, and we pop it onto a nut on the other side, and then that's got this first clamp on our radiator nicely fixed. The good thing about these clamps is they're fully adjustable up and down the column of the radiator, so if you have made a bit of a mistake when it comes to the levels of your two brackets, it won't matter too much because you can adjust those levels in a minute with this. Make sure that the Allen key faces the outside of the radiator, so later on when you need to do any tightening up, then you can do it. Then before we actually hang the radiator, it's very important to pop these grommets on because they stop any kind of vibration, stops the metal from rubbing together and having that annoying clicking noise. So now we're ready to actually hang our radiator, and with anything, I'd say there's a knack to it. Pop your little bottom clips on first, and then what you're going to do is you're going to offer up the rad and then slide those clips onto the side. And then basically you can lift it up. These will slide down the actual track of the radiator column, and then you'll be able to hook in your top bit. So let's do that now. So like I said, just pop these on and slot them in sideways like so, and then with any luck you should just be able to pull up on them a little bit, and they should just ride down your radiator column just like that. Bang, there we are in. And there we are, one radiator hung onto a plasterboard wall. Now all we need to do is tighten up our locking screws there. They'll stop any nuts from moving, and then put our decorative shrouds on. So then we've pretty much got our radiator nicely installed now. I'm really pleased with how that's gone. You can see how easy it is to do. When you measure it out and take time, you can really get a lovely finish on your rad. Putting on those lovely shrouds on the top as well makes a huge difference. Now, do I stand on top of this radiator to prove that my wall fixing's nicely held? Well, I think I'll give it a go, but I'm a bit more worried about the actual little stand I've made up. But if I nice and lightly get on there, I'm sure it'll be fine. Don't try this at home, folks. Hey. And there you go. Thanks ever so much for watching this Trade Radiators video. I hope it's given you a better idea about how to actually surf radiators, but also to use the internet to buy some of our column ones. And I hope also that you now know that you can hang radiators on plasterboard walls and not have a worry about them falling off. Watch us in our next video and I'll see you then. Thanks very much for watching. Bye!